This is Steve Ridgel, and I thought I'd talk a little bit this morning about deer hunting and sex and Jesus. Well, if you know anything about deer hunting, you know that the deer season kind of aligns roughly with what they call the rut. And it's where all the does, female deer, are ready to mate, to have little fawns. And so the bucks are always chasing the male deer, are always chasing the female deer. Now, the reason that's interesting for hunters, if you're hunting and when the rut starts, you have a lot of bucks that all of a sudden you hadn't hardly seen except on your trail camera in the middle of the night. Bucks very cautious, bucks hiding in the thicket, bucks not coming out. But when the rut starts, they chase doe, and they will blindly just run everywhere. If a doe is the feeder, bucks will just blindly run in, and a lot of bucks get shot because they're chasing doe. Now you're thinking, okay, I get the hunting, and yeah, that's kind of sex. What's the whole Jesus thing? Well, if you're a hunting family and your kids grow up and your grandkids grow up sitting in a stand, one of the things they learn very early in life is about the rut. And so it gives you a chance to talk about, well, sex. And you're going, yeah, what now? Well, you explain about how does man, they are ready and they're prancing around, and boy, the bucks just chase them. They don't think about anything else. And it gives you a chance to talk about how life is more than just sex, how you don't want to just be driven by one thing, because if you are, a lot of bucks get in danger because that's all they think about. And you're going, oh, yeah. And I get the rest of this because you said Jesus. This is where you start telling them, okay, the doe and buck should be married before sex. No, deer don't get married. But it does give you a chance, yes, to talk about right and wrong. It does give you a chance if you're going to talk about how God made deer and sex. It gives you a chance to talk about people and sex. It does. It gives you a chance to talk about sex in marriage, one person, man and woman for life. I believe that's what the Bible teaches. But it also gives you a chance to talk about a lot more than that. It gives you a chance to talk about how God made deer one way and made people another way, which lets you talk about the reasons for why you do what you do with sex. I appreciate people that teach the facts about what's right and wrong about sex. And you need to know right. After all, you can't do right if you don't know what right is. And you can't refuse to do wrong if you don't know what wrong is. So yes, it's important to learn right and wrong. But it's also really important, and here's where a lot of people didn't get it. I learned right and wrong early. I didn't learn the rest of this for a long time, or how to process it. You need to learn why right is right and wrong is wrong, and why you do right and don't do wrong. The why matters. And it gives you a chance to talk about how God made us different than he made deer. And that God, his creation is beautiful and wonderful, but it gives you a chance as you're sitting in the deer stand to have some whispered conversations, or to talk about why we're going to hunt at a certain time, or to talk about why deer act like they act and why we act like we act. And so, I think a lot that there's a lot of great times if you're a Christian. Almost anything that goes on is an opportunity to talk about your faith and why we live the way we live. Not just how we're supposed to live, but why we live that way. So we've enjoyed deer season. We're filling our freezer, and both of them were bucks so far this year that my grand shot, that weren't paying attention because they were only after one thing. This is Steve Ridgel thinking deer hunting, sex, and Jesus.